Jennifer Lopez was once homeless. It's very hard to believe now, but before Jennifer Lopez was the proud owner of multiple homes across the country, including her $40 million estate in Miami and a $24 million penthouse in New York City, she was actually homeless. Lopez found herself out of her family home following a disagreement with her mother, Guadalupe Rodriguez, about her pursuing a dance career instead of furthering her education. Showing how serious she was about becoming a dancer despite her mom's opposition, J-Lo started spending her nights at the dance studio she practiced at. Now, she recalled in a 2013 interview saying, "My mom and I butted heads. I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to try dancing full time. So she and I had a break. I started sleeping on the sofa in the dance studio. I was homeless, but I told her this is what I have to do." Fortunately, it wasn't actually long until her dance career actually took off, and that became the jumping off point for the incredible career she's carved out for herself. Lopez got a dancing gig in Europe a few months after the fallout with her mom, and then landed her dream job as a fly girl on the TV sketch comedy show In Living Color in 1991, which caused her to make the big move to Los Angeles. The rest, as we know now, is history. The star believes because of this life experience, she will instill a strong work ethic in her twins Max and Em through leading by example. She once explained, "I think a lot about teaching my kids to work hard. I've learned something about kids. They don't do what you say, they do what you do. I watched my parents, my dad worked nights, and I was aware of how much he was doing for us. My mom was a Tupperware lady and also worked at the school. I always felt that I couldn't let them down, and I had a natural discipline from early on. I was always training for something." Money for Jennifer wasn't always easy to come by. Though she's become one of the richest stars in the world, she's worth like a huge $400 million according to Celebrity Net Worth, there was actually a time when Jennifer Lopez was so poor she could only afford to eat one slice of pizza a day. Speaking to Entertainment Tonight, she actually recalled her bare minimum diet before landing her role on In Living Color, admitting she survived on pizza for a couple of years. She actually shared a little more about that difficult period in a 2014 interview with the Sydney Morning Herald after she was asked what she would do if she only had $100 in the bank. She said, "I've been there when I only had $100 or $20 and had to eat a pizza every day for dinner, which cost about $1.50 back at that time when I was a dancer struggling as an artist." So, while those times were certainly tough, it sounds like the singer wouldn't change them, as they're part of, what made her the global superstar that she is today. J-Lo said, "Those are the years that shape you. Right when you're struggling, you're trying to make it, you learn resilience, you learn discipline, you learn not to give up and to have faith." Lopez added she actually found things only got tougher the more successful she became because, there's more pressure, more scrutiny, and more expectation. Jennifer Lopez has been a victim of bullying. Even J-Lo isn't immune to trolls and bullies. The superstar has been subject to an extreme amount of vicious comments over the years and hasn't made a secret about how it's negatively affected her before she learned how to ignore it. She confessed in a 2018 interview that in the early part of her career, it made her feel really bad about herself. While recalling some of the hateful comments she received, she said, "My first song went to #1, my album went to #1, and my first movie went to #1. And I was like, yeah, I'm killing it." And then everyone was like, she can't sing, she can't dance, she can't act, she's just a pretty face, or, her butt's too big, or whatever they were saying about me. She admitted that she even started to believe the nasty comments herself. She said, "It really hurt me for a long time." And Lopez, now ex-husband Ben Affleck, also spoke about the hate that he saw her receive during their relationship when they dated between 2002 and 2003. On a 2021 episode of the Hollywood Reporters Awards Chatter podcast, he actually said people were so mean about her and accused the tabloids in particular of just writing horrible things about her. He said, "Ugly, vicious stuff was written about her in ways that if you wrote it now, you would literally be fired for saying those things." Jennifer Lopez had a very close aunt pass away that absolutely devastated her. Jennifer Lopez has made it no secret of her close relationships with her family members and was left devastated after her Aunt Rose passed in 2019. She shared a heartbreaking and touching tribute to her aunt, who she affectionately referred to as TT Rose, on Instagram in August of that year. She told fans how much she loved and admired her. Lopez shared her admiration for her long marriage to her uncle, who Rose was actually laid to rest next to. She wrote that the late couple's 3 children were her closest cousins growing up, and told fans that they had, such a close bond that she considered them to even be sisters. She said, "Today we lay to rest my TT Rose. We will lay her next to our beloved uncle, as was her wish, who were married their whole lives and had 3 beautiful daughters. I have so many emotions as I write this about how fierce, tough, and unapologetically Rose was. She taught me what it was to be a hard-working woman." She continued to say, "She, like the other women I was fortunate enough to be raised by, taught me to be independent and unafraid of life and what it would bring." Jennifer Lopez admitted to having a nervous breakdown a few years after her breakthrough success with Selena. Before she went on to appear in movies like Made in Manhattan and Monster-in-Law, Jennifer Lopez had what she described as a nervous breakdown on set in 2001. Lopez was shooting for the drama movie Enough and found herself suddenly hit with an unexpected wave of emotion. She went on to recall it in 2008, saying, "I was like, I don't want to move, I don't want to talk, I don't want to do anything. I had a nervous breakdown." Lopez said there was no telltale signs that it was coming, and shared the terrifying details of how, initially, she had no idea what was happening to her and had, to sit and do nothing in her trailer to calm down. She continued to say, "It's funny what tricks your mind plays on you. I just didn't want people to think I was falling apart, but when I look back on it now, it's so odd to me that those are the words I chose to say. I am not weak." She recalled how her bodyguard had to put her in the car, and she went straight to the doctor, who diagnosed her as being sleep deprived and overworked. The doctor tried to prescribe her pills, though she declined them, and Lopez was told not to go back to set until she had at least 2 days of sleep. She did, and fortunately the superstar was okay, but she also recalled a time she was sitting in her trailer again and suddenly completely froze, and she let her self-care needs completely go. She said, "I found myself physically paralyzed. I couldn't see clearly, and then the physical symptoms I was having started to scare me, and the fear compounded itself." Again, Jen was taken to the doctor, who basically told her she needed to make like a huge lifestyle change. No caffeine, lots of sleep, and lots of exercise. So, she made the changes, and although she had many anxiety attacks here and there, she's overcome the scary sagas and credits her lifestyle now to just calculated moderation. Jennifer Lopez struggled a lot with her parents' divorce. Jennifer Lopez's parents didn't have the traditional happy ending to their romance, as their union ended in divorce 33 years after they tied the knot. The split took its toll on their daughter, and she struggled to return to their family home after a very difficult conversation about their split. For a 2013 interview with W, she went home for the first time since her parents called her and her siblings, and she went back to tell them about their divorce. She said, "I think that's why I was nervous about coming here today. It's like seeing someone from the past. You're afraid to run into them because you never know if it's going to be like a wow or if it's going to be very difficult. This is a combination of both." But despite the demise of their marriage, Jennifer doesn't have a bad relationship with her parents or bad memories of her childhood growing up in the Bronx. She actually credits her mom and dad, for her strong work ethic, noting she learned how to work hard by watching them. Now, I can't leave this conversation without talking about just how tragic her love story with Ben Affleck has been. We all got a glimmer of hope and a feeling of nostalgic redemption when Bennifer 2.0 was in full swing. Personally, I was very happy. I don't know about you guys, but I was living for it. Being a very lukewarm fan of J-Lo and a medium spicy fan of Ben's, I actually rooted for them back in the early 2000s, and when news of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's divorce broke 2 years after they married and 2 decades after they first fell in love, entertainment reporters began discussing it like crazy. Affleck and Lopez first dated between 2002 and 2004, and even at their heights, both of them could sell more magazines than tickets. Now, both of them were beautiful and inoffensive and seemed to fear and feed on the attention they got. Like many of our most enduring stars, she is now perhaps most famous for being her, J-Lo. He is mainly famous now for looking sad and depressed all the time, but the dissolution of one of 2020's most shocking celebrity reunions was made official on January 6, bringing an end to a whirlwind saga that began back in 2021 when Ben and Jen reunited before getting officially married the following year. Now, despite how sad, fans might be about their undoing, a source close to J-Lo has said that she's in a really good place and just wants to close the door on this crazy chapter. The only silver lining is that she's keeping the $5 million wedding ring like all the others that she's kept. And listen, I don't want, their sad ending to discourage you from spinning the block though, because look at Nelly and Ashanti, they're happy and thriving. All jokes aside, I do hope J-Lo finds peace and love in this new year. Mariah Carey, I don't know her wasn't just a meme, so we've all heard the iconic Mariah Carey line, I don't know her. It's been memed into oblivion, but the shade wasn't random, the backstory deep. Back in the early 2000s, Mariah and J-Lo were both under Sony. Mariah was working on her Glitter soundtrack and had sampled Yellow Magic Orchestra's Firecracker. Now weeks later, surprise, J-Lo dropped I'm Real using the exact same sample and released it first. Mariah reportedly felt sabotaged by Sony, specifically by Tommy Mottola, which was her ex-husband and music executive, who was now backing J-Lo. So, when a reporter asked her about J-Lo, that very cold I don't know her was allegedly less about ignorance and more like I don't mess with her. Petty maybe, but if you believe the timeline, J-Lo's come up came with a side of sabotage. Leah Remini, from BFF to like silent distance. Now Leah Remini and J-Lo were besties for years, red carpets, vacations, TikToks, but somewhere between 2022 and now, radio silence. Fans noticed Leah didn't attend J-Lo's Georgia wedding to Ben Affleck, and she wasn't in the Mother premiere either. So for two women who were basically inseparable, it raised a lot of eyebrows. Now Leah's cryptic posts about protecting your peace and knowing who's real only added fuel to the fire. Neither women have addressed it publicly, but the rumor mill says Leah got tired of J-Lo's controlling behavior and her kind of all about me energy. It's honestly giving former ride or die turned completely dry. Christina Milian, so that Play song Drama, remember J-Lo's hit Play? It was an absolute bop, but plot twist, Christina Milian wrote it, recorded it, and even sang the demo, and J-Lo basically swooped in and claimed it. To this day, the background vocals on the track are still Christina's voice, and guess what? They didn't even bother to re-record with J-Lo's vocals. Christina has since said she was, happy J-Lo got the song, but fans side-eyed the situation hard. It fit a growing pattern of J-Lo taking credit or fronting vocals while other artists quietly played the background. Some called it business, others called it calculated. You decide. Rihanna, the subtle snub heard around the world. Now back in 2016, rumors swirled about J-Lo dating Drake right after he and Rihanna had a little thing. Within weeks of the J-Lo Drake cozy up, Rihanna unfollowed J-Lo on Instagram. Now Rihanna doesn't say much, but when she unfollows someone, that's pretty loud, especially since she and J-Lo had been friendly before. Fans speculated it wasn't just the Drake drama, it was the whole jumping on a trend to stay relevant vibe that rubbed Rihanna the wrong way. And let's be honest, J-Lo's Insta, PDA with Drake did feel like a little performative. Nicki Minaj, side eyes and on stage shade. At the 2015 AMAs, Nicki Minaj made headlines for the look she gave J-Lo during her Anaconda performance. It was honestly daggers. Why? Because J-Lo was dancing to Nicki's own song without Nicki involved in it at all. And given how protective Nicki is of her art, it felt like a power move she didn't co-sign. Later, Nicki threw some serious shade in interviews about certain pop stars borrowing from hip-hop without giving credit. Fans connected the dots, and let's just say the tension was not subtle. First up is Ben Affleck. You had to know, right? Ben Affleck has publicly addressed regrets about his highly publicized relationship with Jennifer Lopez in the early 2000s and now even as well. Now, the two began dating in 2002, shortly after Ben split from actress Gwyneth Paltrow, and they became engaged a year later. However, their relationship was filled with intense media scrutiny, with many criticizing, their pairing as a publicity stunt. Now, the couple eventually called off their wedding in 2003, just days before the ceremony, and officially ended their relationship in 2004. Ben and J-Lo would go on to reconnect and, marry each other on July 16, 2022 in Las Vegas, Nevada, but that was short-lived as they recently finalized their divorce in January of this new year. Now, the docs state that Lopez will keep her green $5 million engagement ring that Ben gifted her when they rekindled their romance. Lucky girl. Now, in hindsight, website, Ben has spoken about how the intense media attention and pressure took a toll on him and their relationship, and he's expressed a lot of regret over how things, have played out then and now. He's made it very clear, allegedly though, that, he regrets actually his marriage to Jenny, and also said that he was quote unquote blinded by just how, lustful it was when they reconnected, and that, it quickly fizzled out once the affection was replaced by bickering and tension. Now, this was, a spinning the block gone wrong incident. Sometimes it might be best to just leave your ex where they belong. Ohani Noah. Now, so despite their relationship being literally like decades ago, this man has not gotten over it. Like, if holding on to the past was a person, it would be him. In 1997, Jennifer's movie career was just getting started with her breakout role in Selena. This was the year she also married her first husband, Ohani Noah. When they split though, 11 months later, Noah made plans to release a tell-all book about their relationship. But JLo filed a lawsuit and won, preventing it from, happening. He later revealed he was driven by jealousy in their romance when she stepped out publicly, at events with Sean Diddy Combs, who she later went on to date. Ohani told Daily Mail at the time, I rang Jen and asked why she was going out with him on dates, and she said, "It's just business. This is what I'm being told I have to do. I was jealous and I would scream, but you are married." While Ohani was, barred from releasing his book, he did share more details of their relationship in a 2011 YouTube video when he said, "The wedding was very crazy. I love the fact that I got married because I was totally in love. I was crazy in love. We were totally in love." And when news broke, of Jennifer and Ben's nuptials, Ohani sent well wishes in an interview he did in 2022, telling the Daily Mail, "I wish her and Ben the best," before adding though, "but I'm not convinced it will last." I mean, he wasn't wrong, but damn. Sean Puff Daddy P. Diddy Love Combs, honestly, I don't know, this man has had so many names. Anyway, the two dated from 1999 to 2001, and while that seems like such a short time, it was fueled with drama and controversy. The relationship was marked by glamorous appearances, emotional turbulence, and legal troubles. It's crazy because to this day, his legal troubles are like still haunting her. JLo and Diddy met actually while filming the music video for If You Had My Love back in 1998, not long after, Jennifer had gotten married to her first husband, Ohani Noah. By early 1999, Diddy and JLo were officially a couple, but Jen, has claimed Diddy aggressively, pursued her, calling her regularly and quickly confessing his love for her. She said, "I kept my distance from him, but then he kept calling me, and I guess it was fun at first. Now he's from New York, I'm from New York, we just speak the same language, and we both love music." She continued to say, "He guided me and was very sweet at first." Both JLo and Diddy were at the top of their game. They attended like every award show together, most famously the Grammys in 2000 when she wore that very iconic low-cut green tropical Versace dress. Now in December 1999, the couple were arrested over a row at a club that ended with a blast out that left 3 injured. Now in 2001, while they were still together, JLo even opened up about how Diddy would use her first marriage breakdown against her, threatening to divorce her despite not being married to her. Later that year, JLo and Diddy did split, with the rapper blaming it primarily on their hectic schedules getting in the way of spending time with each other. Another reason for Diddy and JLo's split is, by his own admission, he never fully got over his ex Kim Porter, with whom, he had children with, and, when he met Jennifer. Now, despite calling JLo his perfect match, when discussing the relationship, he added, "I figured I'll give it a shot, and maybe Kim will catch on that I'm really into her and want her too." He would go on to say that he regretted doing that because it backfired, and he regretted dating her because apparently she brought a lot of drama to his life. That's rich coming from him. Marc Anthony is next. Jennifer Lopez and Marc Anthony's relationship and divorce were marked by a secret marriage, the birth of twins, and a difficult but amicable separation. Now, they met actually way back in 1998 while he was actually performing on Broadway in the musical The Capemen, which actually closed on March 28th, 1998. Now, in Lopez's memoir, True Love, she wrote that Anthony's first words to her were, "One day you're gonna be my wife." They were friends, but never actually thought of dating. In 2004, they married actually though in a secret ceremony. Anthony and Lopez, tied the knot in this very secret ceremony in June at Lopez's home in Beverly Hills. They dated for just 6 months before getting married, though, they didn't announce anything. The bands on their respective left fingers made the news public for them. Lopez later told People magazine, "When you find that person who doesn't run when things get hard, I think think that's where, Mark proved to me that he was more of a man than anything I had experienced. In November 2007 is when they announced they were expecting, and by 2008, they had their twins, Em and Max. Anthony and Lopez announced that they were separating in July of 2011, with a source saying the couple split after months of non-stop arguing, and Mark and Jennifer decided, it's just best to go their separate ways for the sake of their twins. Now, weeks prior, Lopez actually sparked rumors of a split when she attended the BAFTA Brits to watch party in LA without her wedding ring or her husband. Now, following the announcement, a source said that Lopez was focusing on her work after the separation. They said for her, it's back to business. She is all about her career. She's excited to move on. Nearly 10 months after their separation, Anthony filed for divorce from Lopez, and on April 9, 2012, it was just citing irreconcilable differences. However, in the months following the separation, the former couple continued actually working together on music and as judges on a dance competition show. So despite them continuing their professional relationship, Mark did not maintain a personal one, except of course, co-parenting. Many people speculated that he regretted their marriage, and there's rumors he used to talk about that with his close friends, saying he wished that he never went there. Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez met a long time ago, actually all the way back in 1999 when A-Rod asked J-Lo for her autograph and gushed over the fact that she was actually his celebrity crush. It wasn't until 2005 that they would run into each other again at a Yankees game, but in 2017 the two reconnect, after bumping into each other at a restaurant. The rest is history, and from there they actually start to date, with the two making their first red carpet debut at the Met Gala. Now, going on a European vacation was another thing they did. Then they had a joint birthday party, and then they just moved in with each other. It happened very quickly. But in 2019, the pair announced they got engaged while they were in the Bahamas. In 2020, their wedding got postponed due to the world basically ending, or so we thought. And in 2021, they break up and end their engagement. Many people thought, they would be like it for each other. They seemed to have a good, healthy, solid relationship that seemed different than any of J-Lo's past partners. Now, at first it was reported, that A-Rod had no regrets over his time with J-Lo, and he would go on to repeatedly tell anyone that would listen, that he had no hard feelings. He was very happy that they had their moment, and just gushed over how talented she was. He said, "Jennifer's the most talented human being. Look, we had a great time." Also saying that she was like the hardest worker and the greatest performer that he's ever met, and he's happy they can maintain a friendship. But as some time moved on, this tune kind of changed once she got back with Ben Affleck. Now, A-Rod seemed to be talking more while saying less. It's alleged he told a source close to him that, he said too many good things when he didn't actually mean it. And he said he had some regrets and wishes things went differently. He even shared a very cryptic post on Instagram during J-Lo's split from Ben, which had many people wondering what he was trying to insinuate. The post said, "You either go one way or you go the other. You might as well be the one deciding the direction." Now, of course, all of these are just rumors, and the details are not disclosed anywhere public, but according to this source, their breakup wasn't actually as pleasant as they led everyone to believe. Last on my list, I have Chris Judd. Now, Jennifer and Chris Judd met on the set of her music video for Love Don't Cost a Thing shortly after her breakup from Diddy in 2001. Now, they enjoyed, a whirlwind romance and tied the knot that same year, only for her to file for divorce less than a year later. Chris suggested his ex didn't put in the effort to make the marriage a success. He said to a news blog, "I can't give you the answer as to why her relationships don't work. I think that it's, the work. It's whether you want to work on it or not. When you sign up to get married, you can't just walk away." The dancer and choreographer actually recalled how tough it was living out their relationship in the public eye. He said, "It's very tough. Your privacy is breached. You're no longer a normal person. Our wedding was a circus. I think several people got arrested trying to climb up a mountain, trying to sneak in. We actually rented the airspace." But, with all of this, he still didn't blame Jennifer for the invasion of their privacy. He went on to say, "You kind of sign up for that, you kind of have to take it and accept it and embrace it. Once you stop fighting it, kind of smooths itself over. If you try to keep that privacy, it drives you nuts, and that's why people break." Although Chris said, they didn't call it quits due to the lack of privacy, he did say at the time that it just didn't work out. He would go on to later talk a little more freely about how he truly felt during their time together. He would tell people a lot that, he really just no longer felt like he was normal after marrying her. He also made claims, as did a lot of people, that she had cheated on him with Ben Affleck, since she was filming that horrible movie, Geely with Ben the same year that she married Chris. Now, however, J-Lo had denied those accusations many, many times. One person who wasn't convinced, however, was Chris's father. He actually went out of his way to tell the New York Daily News in 2003 that Jen was infatuated with Ben Affleck from the start and suggested that Lopez was not being truthful about her faithfulness. He actually said she'd be just happier if she would tell the truth. Basically, Chris's whole family actually blames Jennifer's feelings for Ben as the reason her marriage to Chris ended. Jennifer Lopez's name has surfaced in a $400 million essay lawsuit against her ex-boyfriend Sean Diddy Combs. And let's be honest, it's hard to keep track of every Diddy accuser, but it's going to be difficult to not remember this one. The case, filed by Michigan inmate Derek Lee Cardello Smith, who, by the way, is serving his own decades-long sentence for an essay case of his own, alleges that Diddy spiked his drink and essayed him during a 1997 after-party. Court documents reveal plans to call Jennifer Lopez as a witness, citing her past relationship with the rapper from 1999 to 2001 as potentially helpful for providing relevant insights. Cardello Smith alleges he first met Diddy while working as a bartender. Now, he claims Diddy invited him to a private after-party at a Detroit hotel where the rapper offered him a drink laced with an unknown substance. According to the lawsuit, Cardello Smith lost consciousness and later woke up to Diddy engaging in intimate acts with a woman. He alleges Diddy remarked, "I did this to you too," upon noticing he had regained consciousness. While Lopez has not publicly commented on the allegations, her potential involvement has captured widespread attention. Speculation suggests her testimony could provide crucial insights into Diddy's character during the time of their relationship. Now, the mention of Jennifer Lopez has added a new dimension to the case, fueling public interest and speculation, and while it remains unclear whether Lopez will testify or not, her involvement could influence the trajectory of the lawsuit and bring additional attention to the allegations against Diddy. Now, Diddy's legal team has labeled it as baseless and that Cardello Smith mentioned two different locations for this alleged incident. They are also arguing that the claims were filed past the statute of limitations. So time will tell if J-Lo comments or gets involved in this or not. So keep your eyes and ears out for updates on this very bizarre case. Jennifer Lopez once got hotel staff fired for autograph requests. And this is one of just all kinds of ironic. Like, J-Lo has had a fair few movie roles under her belt. One of my personal guilty pleasures is Made in Manhattan, which came out in 2002. Now, in this movie, and much like Jennifer's own Hispanic roots, the character plays a Puerto Rican hotel maid trying to make ends meet while she cares for her young son as a single mom. Now, in 2012, in her real life, Jennifer's trip to Germany made major headlines because a hotel worker, who was also a maid, who's named Prey Dodage, was reportedly fired on the spot for requesting an autograph. According to sources, Prey asked her assistant for an autograph and was fired literally the next day for no reason. Prey would go on in a statement to say, "A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." Prey had said she asked as politely as possible and didn't think it would cause such a frenzy and definitely not get her fired, but unfortunately it did. The hotel denied the rumors, as did J-Lo, who called the story hurtful. Of course, when Jennifer was being interviewed on playing a hotel worker in Made in Manhattan, she only had wholesome things to say, with her stating, "My character is just trying to make ends meet. I really relate to her. You shouldn't judge or discard people." Now, talk about putting your money where your mouth is, right? This secret is one she's been trying to keep under wraps ever since it happened, because not her playing a struggling maid and claiming she cares, but then gets a struggling maid fired for simply wanting an autograph. So to be so fair, I see how the maid would assume J-Lo would relate to her since, you know, she played this role like 10 years prior. Anyway, Jennifer Lopez has made it very clear that she is Jenny from the block. She has talked about growing up in the Bronx so many times, and honestly, I don't think there's a single person that doesn't know that. Now, Jennifer won't actually go to the Bronx, like she refuses to visit. Now, pulling yourself out of poverty is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it can be something to be proud of. A homeless Chris Pratt was once serving up shrimp and living out of an RV before he got famous, and Mila Kunis's family moved to the US with just $250 to their name. So while some celebs, you know, put their humble roots behind them and never look back, like I mentioned, a huge chunk of JLo's fame comes from repeating over and over that she's still Jenny from the block. She grew up in the Bronx and her family wasn't rich. JLo has even gone on the record and said, "I shared a bed with my 2 sisters." And yet she won't actually go back there. And despite growing up in poverty in the Bronx and writing a song about it, JLo only agreed to be in a vehicle commercial if she didn't actually have to go and film it in the Bronx. Now, this report centered around JLo's 2011 Fiat commercial, where the company figured it would be neat to film the star in her home territory. Fair. And while the ad appears to be in the Bronx, it was actually filmed in Los Angeles. Now, it was reported that JLo used a body double for the Bronx, which is insane. I literally have no words, but also I have so many questions. Like, why not just film in the Bronx? Was she scared? Does she feel too good to go there now? Is there someone she didn't want to run into? These answers we might never know, but what do you guys think the reason was? Now, Jennifer Lopez has been known to give very questionable interviews and has been accused many times of being rude to not only the person interviewing her, but to everyone else on the set as well. Now, one interview in particular that was very alarming was one she did when her song Waiting for Tonight came out. She was being interviewed actually by her sister on the set of her music video for that song, and she said that while they were setting up to shoot, they were playing music. Now, when she arrived on set, she was annoyed that the music they were playing wasn't hers. Now, remember, she is the one recounting this story. Then she goes on to say that she started to vibe with the music. It was dance and catchy, but she said she did so begrudgingly. Then when the chorus came on, she was actually like, "Oh, this is my song. That's why I like it." The music was actually a dance remix of Waiting for Tonight that she just didn't hear yet. So that's why she didn't know, of course, or recognize it at first. But a lot of people saw that interview and thought, wow, what a narcissist. Like, how odd she was for saying what she said. Like, no self-awareness at all. She was laughing at her story like she was the most charming person in the world, not the humble, Jenny from the block that she tries to portray. This isn't the first time something like that has happened though, and it's been reported many times that her own music must be playing at all times in her trailers and hotel rooms. Now, I totally understand you enjoying your own music. Actually, I can't really relate to that as I don't make music myself, but it's weird to me how insistent she is of this rule. And it's alleged that it's absolutely mandatory, and she will go into a spiral if this demand isn't met. I think JLo repeatedly fails to read a perfectly legible room. The argument could be made that if she had any common sense, then she would have laid low for this whole entire past year. About 10 days before Thanksgiving 2023, the headlines were dominated by Cassie and Diddy drama and, the $30 million lawsuit. Now, there were several horrific interviews given by several former members of Diddy's entourage detailing horrible stories, and many claim JLo may have benefited from those horrible stories. Now, considering the plethora of other accusations still continuing to unfold many months later, JLo should have known or been advised to lay low or do some good to the world, give back to, the block she's always bragging about. But instead, she comes out with the most insufferable album / movie / documentary, whatever it was. The fact she had $20 million to lose for the trilogy of failures that she released, and at the same time was aware that her Catholic primary school and Catholic high school in the Bronx begged her for meager donations to remain in operation, and she gave them nothing, knowing the negative impact their dissolution would have on the block she sings about. One might say she deserves the slow burn of an extended downfall. Now, many critics have said that she lacks authenticity. One social media user said, aside from the fact that she has no actual singing talent and has been relying on the uncredited voices of other women like Ashanti and Christina Milian to carry her songs, she insists on pushing the narrative that she's a hood girl from the block, and it's become so obvious that everything about her is phony. No one from her old neighborhood claims her. She doesn't do anything for the community that supposedly made her who she is. In fact, everyone who's ever crossed paths with her as a service worker only has horrible things to say. Another person went on to say her latest projects reek of vanity and delusion. No one thinks Jennifer is the greatest love story never told. No one even asked for that. Even Ben seems embarrassed about it. And she tried to make this whole song and dance act about her life so deep and profound, but it's actually just completely unhinged nonsense that shows how out of touch of reality she really is. Now, a big secret JLo never wanted to get revealed but did is the story of how she shamelessly stolen songs and vocals from other artists. There has been allegations and controversy surrounding Jennifer's music and vocals over the years. Some critics and fans have accused her of using ghostwriters, auto-tune, and stealing vocals. One notable example is the controversy surrounding her hit single If You Had My Love in 1999. Now, some people claim that the song's vocals were not entirely JLo's, but rather a combination of her voice and that of a demo singer. Ashanti has even gone on interviews and said that they kept her vocals and ad-libs on the record, and in particular, JLo's song I'm Real was actually made for Ashanti. She even sang it, but it was given to JLo. Even the song What's Love by Ashanti and Fat Joe was supposed to be given to JLo, but Fat Joe actually stood on business on that one and made sure Ashanti stayed on that track with him, so good for him. Another notable example is the song Play from 2001, if you remember it, which was alleged to have used vocals from a demo recorded by, again, a different singer. JLo's team denied these allegations, stating that she has recorded the song herself. One of the most well-known shadiest moments towards JLo is, of course, the Mariah Carey moment. The feud between the two has been a topic of discussion for years, and it is the most notable instance when Mariah Carey said in an interview when asked about JLo, "I don't know her." That phrase has become so iconic, and Mariah also threw shade at the allegation that JLo doesn't sing her own songs. In an article, Mariah once said she only slept 3 hours a night, in response to JLo saying she sleeps 8. She then followed it by saying, "If I had the luxury of not actually having to sing my own songs, I would sleep 8 hours too."
JLo has made many enemies in her world, with many being those who work for her. They've leaked some awful details about her and shown just how horrible she is. Now, Gilly Liar had been a longtime assistant to JLo before she quit and went to work for Mariah Carey in 2013. It's been said that the main reason why she quit was because of JLo's boyfriend at the time, Casper Smart. Apparently, Casper was allowed to do whatever he wanted in the house, and this included him mistreating the staff members. That upset Gilly, a source told Radar Online. Casper always insisted that Jennifer's staff call him Mr. Smart, and even demanded that Gilly get him drinks. So it appears that JLo let her assistant get disrespected, which is just not okay at all, and it shows what kind of person she really is. Then there's the time when she got everyone to turn on her longtime makeup artist Scott Barnes. There had been a leak on JLo's team as they exposed to the press that JLo was planning on getting married to Mark Anthony. Now, JLo claimed that Scott was one of the employees who betrayed her, so she fired him and made everyone ignore him. The thing was, they never asked him about it though, they just fired him. Now, during an interview on the Jeff Probst show, he claimed that he didn't know anything about the wedding and wasn't the leak, but JLo's team still shunned him. Scott said, "Nobody would talk to me, it was like I had the plague." Then, when the truth came out that Scott did not leak the news or even know about the wedding ahead of time, he received a phone call from Jen, who Scott claimed said the following. It was like, "Hey, it was a big misunderstanding, you know we have a lot of stuff coming up and I really miss you, so let's just get back to work." Although Scott was very gracious about the whole thing, it appears that JLo did not apologize to him, and it's just crazy to me that he went back working for her and that no one put a stop to her behavior. Now, near the end of last year, Elon Musk was speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience when he began talking about JLo's criticism of the recently elected president and his remarks about Puerto Ricans. Elon then brought up JLo's personal history with Diddy as she dated him from 1999 to 2001. He said JLo was like his ex-girlfriend, and now all of a sudden she's warning people about this person, but how many people did she warn about Diddy? Oh, 0. Maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion. He added people in the music industry had to know that Diddy was doing these things. Where's that accountability? They had to know. Now, Ojani Noah, Joshua, J-Lo's ex-husband, claimed that she was involved in Diddy's freak-offs that came up in his federal indictment. "I'm not on the list," O'Johnny wrote on Instagram. To those people and media outlets asking if I ever went or participated in that piece of Diddy's freak-off parties, no and no, never. But my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J-Lo, did. Ask her. But in a shocking turn of events, one of her past assistants has come to her defense. Thea D'Souza, who worked with J-Lo on the 2002 film Made in Manhattan, posted a statement on Threads that said, "If you knew Jennifer Lopez, if you ever worked with her like I did, or if you were close with people who are like family to her like I am, you would know she did not have any idea about Diddy. She barely drinks, she's not a partier, she isn't a good time girl, she's a workaholic who uplifts women, and who was charmed by him for a brief time in her life." Now, Thea emphasized that J-Lo does not deserve to be conflated with Diddy's shocking and criminal misdeeds. So Thea claims that J-Lo is innocent in all of this, but she's the only one who's spoken out. You see, J-Lo is refusing to speak about her ex Diddy. She walked out of an autograph signing at AFI Fest 2024 when someone in the crowd asked her if she had any comments about Diddy and the allegations. The US Mirror tabloid reported that the singer left immediately, despite fans' pleas that she stay. And don't expect her to say anything. In May, after video footage of Diddy hurting his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura was brought to light, J-Lo stayed silent. Now, many of Diddy's other exes have spoken out against him, but not J-Lo. Though tabloid sources claim that the Cassie footage disgusted her, J-Lo was silent on the subject and has stayed that way. Sources are saying that Jen is not going to address the accusations or take time to talk about them because it's not her story to tell. If an interviewer brought it up, she would cross that path as and when it happens, but she won't address it publicly and will not put herself in that conversation on purpose. Then there was the fact when J-Lo and Marc Anthony's twins needed nannies, J-Lo gave them a grueling schedule. Now, normally people who make a lot of money, like J-Lo for example, have numerous people who help them with everyday tasks, especially childcare, as it can be so difficult. But Jennifer expected one nanny not only to take care of both twins, but to work 16-hour days, 7 days a week, as an insider told the National Enquirer. Now, unsurprisingly, the first nanny she hired left after just a week of working for her. They hired her second nanny, who was wonderful with the twins, but she couldn't take working such long hours without a break, a source said. So then she quit after just a week as well. And yeah, I don't blame them for quitting. I mean, that schedule is just unreasonable. Then in 2022, a girl named Kyla posted a TikTok saying that her dad worked for a company that J-Lo would hire for drivers. But apparently he heard so many bad stories about the star that he never wanted to be her driver. It said that J-Lo does not allow her drivers to look or talk to her. She's also so strict that if the driver looks through the rearview mirror and makes eye contact with her, she will freak out. Not to mention that she has a crazy rule that her luggage cannot touch the ground. Now, it appears that this story is real though, because one of J-Lo's former drivers sued her. Hakab Menokian claims he started driving for J-Lo and Marc Anthony in 2005. He said that the three of them had such a great bond that they convinced him to shut down his company and work exclusively as J-Lo's personal head of security and transportation. He claimed that J-Lo agreed to pay him more than $200,000 per year, but things went downhill in 2011. This is when Hakab claims he was forced to spend time with J-Lo's manager, Benny Medina. He claims that Benny hated him and even found a way to convince J-Lo to demote him, taking away his security responsibilities and making him J-Lo's LA driver, and that was it. Now, he says that he was basically forced to resign and then sued J-Lo and Benny for unspecified damages. J-Lo then countersued him for extortion, but her suit was dismissed in December 2012. Now, the two eventually settled on undisclosed terms, but that honestly just sounds like a horrible situation. And finally, one of J-Lo's backup singers, Julia Wang, posted on TikTok how horrible it was to work with the star. She said she was so mean to her backup singers. If you were pretty or if you were Latina, like, game over, she hated you. Julia also said that J-Lo refused to talk or even look at any of the singers during their rehearsals, except for an occasional eye roll or scoff, which is just crazy. She acted like a bully. Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every single day for months, and this person never even acknowledging you or acting like you exist? She asked. And honestly, no, I can't. That sounds like a horrible work environment. Now, she also shared that JLo changes the way she acts when there are men present, and Julia added that she only treats the women poorly because she views them as competition. It seems like if you have anything to do with JLo, it would just be horrible. JLo's first husband, Owani Noah, is an actor, producer, writer, and more. He wears many hats. But most importantly, when it comes to facts that you need to know about Noah, he hates JLo. Like, from reading up on his activity when it comes to his ex-wife, there are only so many conclusions one can draw, and I fear that he hates her. And there's a number of reasons why. The first might have something to do with the couple's divorce. They were married less than a year, wed in 1997, divorced in 1998. They divorced right around when JLo was first rising to superstar status. Her first major film, Selena, was a hit, and she was just starting her music journey. She was by no means a megastar at the time of the divorce. That actually came around a couple years later. Noah believes that the marriage partly fell apart because of one man though, a man that is very popular with the press and on this channel right now thanks to some truly heinous behavior, Mr. Sean Diddy Combs. He and JLo dated from 1999 to 2001-ish. If you're keeping up with the timeline, they started dating about 1 year after her divorce from Noah. But they met in 1997 when she starred in the music video for Diddy's song Been Around the World. The pair later spoke about meeting each other in unearthed footage from like 1999, so it's very, very grainy. In it, Lopez claimed that she actually didn't like Diddy at first because they were very different, plus she was married. She made a point to talk about how she was raised to be family-oriented and respect marriage. However, she said that at the time she was going through problems in her relationship and marriage that no one knew about. In a couple 1998 interviews, she hinted that Noah was insecure at the fact that JLo was more successful than he was. Talking about how much money she makes in comparison to her then husband, she said, "That's something he has to deal with and to live with, which is tough for someone like him." Then in a later interview she said, "If you asked him right now, he'd rather have me at home washing dishes, with us living in a small apartment with him making the money rather than me making millions of dollars a year, living in a house that I mostly pay for." Years down the road, ex-husband Noah actually made a statement that echoed one of JLo's earlier ones when he was talking about Ben Affleck's signature grumpy face. Affleck has gone viral many times during his relationship with JLo because he would often look absolutely miserable when they were together, so Noah was responding to one of those times. He claimed that while he was married to JLo, the pair would often fight before having to pretend everything was okay for the cameras a few minutes later. He said that he knew deep down that the couple was not in a good place, they didn't agree on major decisions. It's clear from both sides that they were both aware things weren't perfect. Noah talked about what led up to, in his words, Diddy ruining the marriage. He said that the deception started when it was revealed that Diddy was going to be a producer for part of JLo's debut album On the 6th. There was also a lot of physical distance between the couple at this point, with Noah remaining in LA as he was opening a restaurant at the time, and JLo flying between Miami and New York for her album. It pretty much went downhill from that point forward, despite the fact that Noah claimed he tried to see JLo when he could. Surprisingly, restaurants have caused a lot of strain for this particular relationship. A, because Noah had to stay in LA for his restaurant opening, leading to emotional and literal distance between the couple, and B, years later, JLo hired him to manage her new restaurant, only to fire him allegedly without cause 6 months later. Yeah, this was big drama back in 2002. When JLo was opening her restaurant Madre, she needed a manager. That manager turned out to be her ex-husband, which is admittedly seems like an odd or interesting choice considering how their future plays out, but at this point the relationship was pretty solid still. Noah alleges that JLo told him that she wanted to take care of him because he was family and he wouldn't be fired unless there was a good cause or reason. Seems like a sweet deal. Noah seemingly knew his stuff. I mean, he met and married JLo when he was a waiter. We covered that he's opening his own restaurant. Why not manage JLo's? Well, something went seriously sideways because he only held the position for 6 months. He claims that he had no idea why he was fired and tried to ask JLo, but she wouldn't pick up his calls. So in retaliation, he filed a lawsuit, and it did actually work out in his favor. He got $125,000. However, it came with a condition. He must not reveal private information about the couple's past relationship. Owani Noah has said that after his divorce from JLo, he just kind of wanted to keep his head down and do his own thing. However, I guess his tune changed a few years later because he tried to release a book about his relationship with JLo around 2006. It was going to be called The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. It was allegedly going to accuse her of cheating on him many times. See, the thing about a tell-all book is that it pretty much is exactly the thing that goes against the condition that you don't reveal any private information about your past relationship. JLo did take him to court over this book and won $545,000 and stop the book from ever getting released. The only reason we know about some alleged writing and cheating accusations is because of the court documents. Alani Noah has claimed that the breakup from JLo negatively affected his careers and cost him work. He is kind of right. JLo did fire him as manager from the restaurant that she owned. However, he is also referring to his second job, which is acting and the entertainment industry in general. He speculated that JLo likely used her connections in the industry to stop him from working with certain people and networks after they had split up. He also accused her of further ruining his reputation because she had taken him to court. In a recent interview with the Daily Mail, he metaphorically asked JLo, "What did I do to you so that you have taken me to court? Why, if I have not done anything to you, let her tell the truth, let her tell everything that happened." I mean, she doesn't want to do that. That has been made very, very clear. Technically, he did take her to court first as well over the restaurant thing, and then she took him to court when he violated the court order from the first time that he wouldn't say anything to discredit JLo again or share private details about their relationship. But she actually had to take him to court over again when she found out that he was planning to create and release a mockumentary about their marriage. There were rumors that the mockumentary was going to include private home videos of the couple, which again, that is so explicitly in violation of the contract they made, but him and the producers, I guess, thought that because it was going to be more of a parody of what happened, it would be okay. It wasn't. The movie was stopped by a judge. One of the producers that was working on the film with Noah did sue JLo for interference for $10 million. It actually almost went in their favor, but then a judge struck it down. JLo then sued for $10 million as well, per The Hollywood Reporter, breach of contract, violation of publicity rights, invasion of privacy, and other claims. Listen, I know that I've said a few times that Noah hates JLo, and that's kind of an over-exaggeration. I sensationalized it based on the amount of times he's tried to breach their agreements and tried to sue her. He has recently said how he actually feels about JLo. He spoke to the Daily Mail right after it was announced that JLo and Ben Affleck were getting a divorce, and this is exactly what he said. "I would always be her friend. I sympathize with both of them because divorce is hard." He actually called the couple's divorce when their engagement was announced. At the time, he said that they probably wouldn't last. He then reminisced on his own marriage to JLo and his role in her life, saying, "I was the first, the pioneer. I was there at the beginning of her career, supporting her, dealing with her anxieties and insecurities." He reiterated what made him a good husband, that he believed in marriage, something that JLo also said she was raised to believe in a 1999 interview. He reiterated that he was heartbroken after the divorce and finished with, "I feel when she got what she wanted, I was no longer needed." But that's a lot. So does the relationship affect JLo as much as it does Noah? Aside from like the legal battles, not really it seems. In fact, it turns out JLo doesn't even really count her marriage to Noah since it was so short. She joked about that with Today back in 2019. She shared that her marrying when she was that young was her trying to make sure she always had somebody by her side. But she realizes now that that is not a good reason to marry someone and also not how life works. The Daily Mail reports that the Jenny from the Block singer and air director met up January 5th, aka Golden Globes Day, at Affleck's home. From photos acquired from the meetup, it seems the pair seemed to be on good terms. It appears that JLo even gave Ben's son a big hug. Despite the sweet meetup, that doesn't mean the couple is getting back together anytime soon. In fact, the opposite might be true. It's known now that the two megastars are getting a divorce, but the process is taking a step forward into settlement territory. JLo is also apparently looking to drop the Affleck from her last name. Just because JLo is leaving the Affleck surname behind doesn't mean she's dropping the whole family. A source claiming to be close to the couple says that the pair decided to remain in each other's lives even though they aren't romantically involved anymore. JLo was a parent to Affleck's children and vice versa while they were married, and that is not something that you can just erase. The source said the pair are agreeing to communicate when it involves the kids, and that's already happening, it seems. At the Sunday meetup, JLo's child seems to have been exiting Ben's house carrying a large gift in their hands. Affleck walked behind them. As previously stated, JLo embraced Affleck's son, a sweet interaction all around. The source shared that though the pair aren't necessarily looking to co-parent or have that type of relationship, they are still close to each other's families and feel as though they have a blended family in a lot of ways. Affleck and Lopez, along with Affleck's ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, were all spotted in the same place just before last year ended. Their kids attend school together and were in a play. Makes sense considering who their parents are. star. Photos of the famous celebs from the event show nothing but proud parents and happy vibes all around. It's unclear how involved the adults will be as the divorce moves forward, especially with an official settlement apparently being reached. People were shocked to learn, though, that JLo and Affleck did not sign a prenup before marrying, especially since they both do so much and then make so much from what they do. It was shocking that they would risk splitting everything 50-50. TMZ has broken the news that the pair have allegedly come to an agreement, though. TMZ reported some of what was presumably on the table through what each party is apparently set to keep. Affleck's stake in Artist Equity, the production company that he and BFF Matt Damon created in 2022, about 4 months after Affleck married JLo, that is sticking with its founder. The company has had a successful run so far with films like Air and Unstoppable, the latter actually featuring JLo, which, speaking of, JLo has a number of individual success stories from the marriage, like her romantic comedy, Marry Me, which I actually saw in theaters, had a great time, her self-produced musical album movie and documentary about said movie, plus a few other film endeavors that she is keeping. It all boils down to the easy idea that whatever the person earned, they get to keep. But there is one thing that they did share, and that was their house. Now, I wasn't in the room with their lawyers, and all the details are confidential, so I have no idea exactly how they're dividing up that $61 million mansion, but TMZ claims that an agreement has been reached, so there is that. As of right now, the house is still on the market, so we will have to wait and see exactly how it all proceeds. Apparently, the whole situation was mediated by Laura Wasser, and she clearly did a great job. As it stands, neither party is due to pay spousal support to the other. But is an amicable agreement really that shocking? From photos and clips of their recent meetups, it's clear the former couple are still very civil with each other, some might even say friendly. It's clear there's still affection there. Plus, they both had successful years well together. Why not just let the other person keep what they made? Allegedly, they even met up at the tail end of last year to exchange holiday gifts. The divorce was filed back in August, and it appears everything is almost in order, and now they're just waiting for the official finalization date of February 20th, roughly 6 months after everything first started. The source close to the couple shared that due to their history, Affleck and Lopez will always have a mutual respect for one another. New footage has dropped of JLo that has people whispering that Jenny from the block has made a deal with the devil. I know that is probably not what you were expecting to hear next, but here we are. The clips emerged around November of last year, right in the middle of the whole divorce with Ben Affleck's situation. You know, going through a divorce is known to be a difficult thing, but take one look at JLo and you would never guess. Seriously, the woman is glowing and looks stunning in literally every red carpet appearance, every paparazzi picture, and every selfie. Of course, that leaves people to draw one conclusion as to how the artist is getting this stunning image. Spoiler, it's not financial security or a dedicated support team, but that she must have made a deal with the devil. Celebrities being accused of demon dealing, is that new? No, unfortunately not. Conspiracies rule the internet. But at least this time, the viral tweet first making the demonic claim appears to at least be a joke. JLo appeared at the LA premiere of Wicked in a glittering gown. She looked incredible. Popular Twitter celebrity updates account, Pop Base, shared a clip of JLo posing on the red carpet. The tweet was viewed millions of times and had thousands of engagements, but one stood out from the rest. A quote tweet that read, "She traded her vocals for eternal beauty and hasn't looked bad a day since." Now listen, the context to this tweet is people like to be mean to JLo on the internet after they found out that many of her tracks feature vocals from other performers that JLo either claims to be her own or she just doesn't clarify that the main voice isn't her. Then there was also the canceled tour and a series of memes spawned from her This Is Me Now situation documentary, especially since so many celebrities turned down appearing in them, and some that did appear in the movies seemed more confused than anything else. And then there was the whole misunderstanding where it looked like JLo had asked longtime friend Derek Huff to move his wedding around to accommodate her movie. Point is, there is a lot that has happened regarding the singer over the past few years, and roasting JLo just seems to be an internet pastime right now. But there is one thing that the people cannot touch, and that is her look. JLo truly always looks good. A positive, ongoing comment about JLo is that you will never catch her looking ugly or broke, and that has been proven true time and time again. Even when there is so much seemingly going on with the star personally, she's always glowing. So it must be a deal with the devil. Of course, What's the real secret to JLo looking 10 out of 10 all the time? What is she hiding? It's clear the star is naturally beautiful, but that is enhanced by a glam squad and, as many people speculate, cosmetic procedures. JLo has said publicly that she prefers to age naturally and isn't one to run and get a lot of work done, but not everyone believes her. Some have accused the performer of getting major surgeries. One person even accused her of using her family's genes to get a vampire facial, seemingly implying her eternal youth comes at the expense of her own youths, which that is definitely a sentence someone has typed about her. I almost missed the initial devil accusation. Generally, people seem to believe, including some aesthetic doctors, that if JLo has had work done, it is often subtle and expertly performed so that she never has a jarring transformation, so stuff like Botox or fillers. The most common major procedure people believe to have happened to the star is a nose job. Apparently her nose was originally slightly wider when she started out her career. Now there is technically some truth behind that rumor. JLo confirmed getting a nose job when she was younger, but that was more medical than anything else to fix a deviated septum. Is JLo hiding other cosmetic procedures? Well, that is unclear, as is her involvement with the leader of the underworld. But if I had to hazard a guess, I think that JLo's youthful glow can be attributed to confidence, well-placed cosmetics, lighting, and maybe a cute Instagram filter every once in a while. But what do you think? Let us know, and if you want more, check out Kim Kardashian's 2025 predictions for Khloe and Kourtney just got leaked.